Hi, I'm Karina. Welcome to this Yin Yoga sequence today for the shoulders and the upper body. Yin Yoga is amazing for the body, and the lower body probably gets a lot more airtime than the upper body. So in this sequence today, I'd like to introduce you to a few postures that you may not have practiced before that are going to be great for the fronts and the backs of the shoulders, and also the tissue of the neck and the upper part of the spine. For this sequence, I'm going to be using a block and a bolster. So if you don't have something like that, just make do with a few kind of around the house props, a couple of cushions off the couch. We'll work it out when we get there. So we are going to start this sequence with a posture called Graceful Bow. And you can sit in any posture that you like. I'm going to sit cross-legged, but if you wanted to have your legs extended out, no problem. This is a posture that really helps to just begin opening up a bit more space around the neck, because let's face it, most of us are pretty congested up there. So find your seat, and we're going to start by taking your right arm. So this is my right arm. Take your right arm, and we're just going to bring that around the back with the fingers curling around the side waist. And then you can either bring the hands into touch like this and clasp the fingers together, or you could just collect those fingers in the elbow crease of the left arm. If this is already too much for this shoulder, just leave the arms to rest. So I'm going to take the crook of my elbow. Alrighty. And then just letting all your bones drop into the floor. Allow yourself to be nice and heavy. And we start by taking a breath in. And the first part of Graceful Bow is to just tip your head sideways away from that right shoulder. So the first part of the body that we are looking to target is the side of the neck. And we're looking for some kind of broad stretching sensation to turn up, but not so strong that you can't breathe with ease. And you can come out of this shape at any time, particularly if your neck says, this is too much for me. But if it's not too much for you, start to bring yourself into your breathing, smooth it out. Is it possible even for you to have breaths in and out that are even in length? Softening down the face. And there's about 5 exhalations here in this first part to go. Nice. On your next inhalation, use the breath to help your head float back up onto the top of your body. And if arms are okay, leave them where they are. And we move into the second part of Graceful Bow. So instead of tilting the head to the side, now we turn the head. So I'm turning my head to my left. And then we let the chin melt forward. So it's like the chin's melting over the collarbone. And the intention here is to shift the target area from the side of the neck around to the back. But you might continue to feel it at the side, and that is fine. Some people report that they feel that broad stretching sensation move down into the shoulder, the upper back, the shoulder blade. All of that is fine. You are also allowed to adjust this as you see fit. So have a little feel and see if moving the chin more central over the chest is actually more valuable for you, more interesting with what you can feel. calming back to smooth breath. There's about 4 exhalations left here. Inhale, slowly reversing your weight out of that and releasing your arms. Oh, you might just want to be still, or you might get a calling in your body to roll the shoulders up, back and down in a slow motion way. And we're going to take a seated rebound before we take the other side. So let your arms be nice and heavy and restful. Close the eyes if you like, and we're just going to sit with ease for a moment. There's a good chance the right side of your neck and the left side are going to feel very different right now. And probably also your right and left shoulders. What are you noticing? Take a long deep breath into both lungs. Oh, and let all that breath go. If you need a bit more time, take it. Otherwise, let's change sides. I'm now taking my left arm around, where you can clasp the fingers together, or you can let the fingers curl into that elbow crease, or do nothing with the arms if this shoulder doesn't love it. Taking an easy breath in, and we come into the first part of this side of Graceful Bow, tipping the head sideways. Away from that left shoulder. Checking in with the breath. What are you feeling on this side? And where are you feeling it? The intention is to be feeling something in the side of the neck. But, and I didn't say this on the first side, if you want, you can very, very slowly tilt the head up or down to the floor, searching around for a place in your tissues that says yes. Stop there. Got 3 more breaths here. On your next inhalation, floating the head back up on top of the body. Then take another breath in. And this time turning your head to your right and then letting the chin come down and forward. Noticing where this shifts the sensation. Does it actually shift it around to the back for you, or does it stay in the side of the neck? Maybe it's in both places right now. 3 more exhalations. As you breathe in, reversing your way out of the shape. Release your arms. Take a little bit of movement. And now we'll take a rebound on the floor. So come down to the floor in whatever would be the most restful position for your body, particularly for your shoulder girdle. As the floor rises up to hold your shoulder girdle and head, let yourself melt down into the floor. Take a nice long drink of breath into your body. Breathing out. And taking your time to bring yourself up to sitting. And we're going to set up for butterfly. So often butterfly is a pose where we're thinking about the inner and the outer hips, which you probably will be. But it also really opens up the tissue of the back as the spine flexes forward. So you might get some strong sensation in the inner legs and the outer hips. But we're also really focusing on the rest of butterfly today as well. So come to sitting, we'll bring the feet into a position where they're making contact but relaxed. Completely up to you if you want the feet in very close or far away from you. And before you let your spine melt forward, just sink into the floor a bit. So go ahead and slouch. Let your belly be soft. Let go of all those notions of upright spine and posture. Get into the yin spirit of the sequence. And then into that relaxed frame, take an inhale. And as you breathe out, just let the head roll forward and let the weight of your skull start a chain reaction where your spine comes forward. There will be a point where your tissues have enough resistance that you stop. And if at that point there's quite a bit of a gap between body parts, you might choose to fill them with props. It might be that you have your head on the block, your head in your hands, something like that. Or you're welcome to just hang. Then we're going to be here for a little bit. And there's 3 more exhalations here if you're happy to stay a little longer. Good. Take a nice big breath into your back. Breathing out. Slowly unfurling your spine. And let your intuition guide you down into a rebound of your choice. Sometimes the sensations that arise in a rebound can actually feel stronger than what you felt in the pose, because all of the tissue that just got lengthened is slowly being retracted and rehydrated. So we need to honor that. And if it gets very strong, like the lower back area, you're very welcome to walk your feet up onto the floor and let the knees knock together, or take a slow motion hug of knees to chest. Breathing in slowly and deeply. Breathing out slowly and completely. Taking your time to climb up out of the floor. And bring yourself up into a cross-legged seat. So this next posture I'm calling a modified thread the needle. Thread the needle is a shape often performed on all fours where you thread one arm underneath, and it's great for the upper back and the shoulder blade, but we're going to do that in a seated position. So if you know thread the needle and what I'm doing feels a bit sort of strange, you're welcome to do that instead. What I'm going to do in this modified variation is I'm going to bring my right arm across. I'm going to bring my right arm across my left leg, and I'm just kind of playing around with angles of where I can start to get a yin experience of the back of the arm and the shoulder, and you might need to just play around with it a little bit yourself, and then I'm giving it a little bit of my body weight. So this might actually be a bit more spacious for women that have a big chest. Or if being upside down just doesn't feel quite right for you. Ooh, just found that sweet spot. Did you? The backs of the arms can be tricky to target in Yin Yoga practices. And if you've never done it, I encourage you to play around on your mat. See what new postures you can come up with. It's pretty fun. Okay, we've got 2 more breaths here. Nice, releasing that. And taking another seated rebound. And then we'll move into the other side. So taking the opposite arm across the knee. And wiggling around, see what needs to happen over here for you. There's about 3 or 4 breaths here to go. I'm not a huge fan of putting students in postures that target the shoulders for too long, as they're a much more mobile joint and it can be uncomfortable for people to sit into them for too long, unless you're one of the students that loves it. Nice, coming out of that one. Give the shoulders a little bit of a roll, make some space. And then come on down to the floor and take a rebound and bring your block with you so that it's handy for what we're going to do next. All of the muscles of the upper back and the neck eventually converge and attach onto the base of the skull and the back of the skull. So we're going to apply a little bit of gentle myofascial release to that now. So with your block, we're going to bring that onto the floor, back behind you. So this block that I've got is a cork block, so it's nice and steady. And then what I tend to like to do is just have my hands loosely around the block. And I've got this up on the kind of medium profile. And if I let my chin melt a little to my chest, I usually find that the kind of slightly fleshier tendinous parts that are connected to the skull really meet the edge of the block. And then as slowly as you want, if you want to at all, rolling the head one side. And then back through center to the other side. Some parts might be really gnarly, and some parts might be easier. Take your breath with you. We're just going to slowly roll this out for a bit. And when you're satisfied that that feels complete, removing the block and letting the head come to rest on the floor. Just noticing what that area of the body feels like now as it rests. Long, deep belly breath in, breathing out. Let's walk the feet up onto the mat and we'll move into a couple of twists. So floating right leg up, crossing it over left. Lifting your hips a little and move them to the right side of your mat, and then let the knees melt across to your left, arms opening out. So I've got a bit of an intention here for the front of the right shoulder and the tissue of the chest, but you'll also be getting a passive twist of the spine and quite possibly also a release of the glute of the top leg. If your knees don't meet the floor with ease, tuck your bolster under the knees. And if this arm is floating off the floor, you might want something underneath that as well. It does not matter at all if your right shoulder comes off the floor. Sometimes that cue is given with a sense of strictness, but I don't subscribe to that. I actually think if the shoulder is really plugged down, you may not feel much at the front of the shoulder. So if this is lifted, just notice what that feels like for you. Smoothing out your breathing. And depending on how this is feeling, there's 5 more breaths on offer for you if you'd like to stay for them. Take a breath into the spine, breathing out. Uncoiling, move in any way that feels good, just do it slowly. And take a rebound. And then we'll set up for that on the opposite side. Left leg crosses over right. Little shift of hips to the left. Knees melting across to the right. Allowing some time to listen to what the body is saying so you can adjust accordingly. Sinking into the floor. For 5 more exhalations. Breathing deeply down the length of your spine. And breathing out. And making your way into a rebound after those twists. Just giving it time to settle. You might like a really long time to rest after that, or you might be feeling ready now. The next place we're going to shift to is returning to an upright seat. And this is a new shape that I haven't taught before, but a friend taught this in a flow class the other day, and I thought it was a fantastic pose that could be great for yin. And it really does target the kind of juncture of the back, of the sort of upper back of the shoulder, kind of near the base of the armpit and the backs of the arms. And I'm calling it sugar bowl because I think it kind of looks a little bit like a sugar bowl. You take the lid off and get your sugar, not because it's sweet. So when we come into it, it's going to look a little bit like this, where we have the feet on the floor and we take the hands and flex the wrists quite deeply and then bring them into the side waist so that the elbows are inside the knees, and then let the knees press in a little bit. Sitting on the floor will be a bit more challenging, so my suggestion is that you grab your cushion or your bolster, you come and sit on top and then bring the feet out. And then bringing the hands into the side waist and the elbows inside the knees. Now you can have the feet quite wide if that's what you need. You might already be thinking, wow, that's quite strong already. You don't have to do this one. It is all optional. But if it does feel okay, the suggestion here is to try and let the arms be as relaxed as possible with a bit of activation in the legs. So there's a very slight hugging in of the legs to stabilize the arms, to really get into that yin pocket at the back of the shoulder junction. We're not going to be here for too long. Find your breath. If you can come up with a different name for this, I'd love to hear your suggestions in the comments. What would you call this pose? Be nice. There's about 8 breaths here for us to play with. Ooh, take an in breath. Let the breath out. Wrists might feel a bit tender after that. So just let a little bit of liquid movement come back in. We are going to lay back over the bolster after all the things we've done and allow some time to settle. So bring your bolster back behind you. Sprawl the legs out long and wide if that's what you prefer. And invite your whole shoulder girdle from spine, shoulder blades, fronts of shoulders, all the way out to fingertips to let go. Down into the direction of the floor. Soft face, slack jaw, easy breath. Starting to glide your way down into shavasana. Moving your bolster out to what's needed for you to be comfortable and warm. And we'll take about 2 or so minutes of deep, quiet rest here together. Starting to become aware of your inhalations. Using them to fully expand your chest and your belly as you re-emerge from the sequence. Maybe blink the eyes a little bit or roll the head from side to side and take a stretch. Stay on the floor if you would prefer, otherwise come up to sitting. So just be mindful that this whole upper region might feel a little delicate and tired after the sequence, but hopefully tomorrow you wake up feeling really rejuvenated. Thank you for practicing today with me. Namaste.